Hey, it's Nick Fundytus here from Royal LePage Performance Realty in Ottawa, and these are my market predictions for 2024. So if you would like a more detailed version of everything that I have to say here, you can go to our blog at nickfundytus.ca/blog. You can check out our YouTube channel for links there. And as always, we have our monthly market update for the Ottawa Real Estate Board. So here we go. In 2024, here are my predictions are what's going to happen in the year ahead. And this is going to affect you as a home buyer or potential home seller or even a tenant. So first of all, I think there will be around a 6% price increase in homes in Ottawa, in the average home price. Now, I'll talk about why this is as we go on. I think there'll be about 14,750 homes sold. There'll be 3.3 months of homes. That's called our absorption rate. And the absorption rate is if you stop listing homes tomorrow, that's the amount of time that it would take to sell all the properties that are currently on the market. And I think that we'll have some Bank of Canada interest rate cuts for the overnight rate in May and September. So let's look at 2023 and let's look ahead to 2024. We'll look at the national picture and then at the local Ottawa picture as well. So first of all, let's look at national trends. So in Canadian real estate last year, we saw that there was a lot of interest rate uncertainty. So the Bank of Canada had increased rates sharply in 2022 to try and cool off the overheated housing market across the country. And that really put a lot of buyers on the sidelines. Prices for homes were not coming down immediately, and it left a lot of buyers without being able to afford properties or having to drastically change their plans. So that had a big effect, a big chilling effect across the country. And then last year, even though we didn't see the same pace of changes, and even we saw a little tiny bit of relief, there was not enough trust that that was going to be something that was ongoing. We saw home prices come down in our own city a little bit, but this was not universal across the country. So the next thing was government band-aids. So the first-time homebuyer program came in, introduced by the federal government. This was, although this gave relief to some home buyers, this is really more of a band-aid effect. There are larger forces at play that are keeping home prices elevated, mainly a shortage of homes available and relative to the increase in population. A lot of that population is being driven by immigration, and then a graying overall population in Ottawa or in Canada that's holding on to their wealth. So those demographic changes aren't really changing. So in 2024, with interest or with inflation a little bit more under control, now we have just seen reports from the federal government that inflation seems to still be around 3.4%. So maybe there will, I don't want to walk back my predictions here, but maybe we won't see exactly what I predicted. But I predict that there'll be 2 interest rate cuts next year. In fact, I'm going to go out and guess that they are in May and September, that immigration and housing are going to be huge issues as we go into the next election or elections at any level. And then the trends in Canada of urbanization, so people moving from rural areas to the cities, and a graying population that is hanging on to their wealth for as long as possible and staying in the homes that they have owned for a long time is going to continue. So what does that mean for Ottawa? So in Ottawa, we actually saw a price decrease last year. So to give you the exact numbers, the average price of a home of any type in Ottawa was $650,825. This was a 4.9% decrease from 2022. 14,169 homes were sold in 2023, and this was a 10.8% decrease from 2022. In fact, this decrease, so the amount of homes sold last year was the lowest sold for any year since 2006 in Ottawa. Now, the sharp increase in interest rates in 2022 put a big chill on, home purchase and home sale activity in the city, and it did give a halt to runaway price increases. So, it did what it was supposed to do. Now, if you want all the numbers, just go to our blog at nickfundytus.ca/blog, and you can see the whole chart of, broken down by property type. And if you want to know what it means for you, for your specific home, just let me know and I can put together a market evaluation for you. And I'm happy to do that. Now, other things that happened in the city, there were, so tech continued to be reasonably strong last year. So it meant that, there was still demand in the housing sector for people who are employed in there. There were infrastructure projects. So the ongoing LRT project meant that, value continued to be added to properties that were served by the LRT. Like I said, there was an overall chill to the market because of interest rates. And then key neighborhoods last year, aside from Ottawa's core, which has evergreen demand, and you will always see demand for the core of Ottawa. On the outlying areas, Canada and Barrhaven were the areas to watch. And there was a lot of demand there. Homes were selling faster than the average for the city, and they were seeing less of a price decrease. They were not the areas that were feeding the price decreases that you saw around the city. Now in 2024, with continued growth in population, continued flight from immigration and exterior areas into the city, I think we're going to see around a 6% increase. We'll revisit that in six months and again in 12 months to see how we did with that prediction. There's going to be new developments. In fact, we see some big ones coming on the market, like the Falcon Ridge development south of the Ottawa airport. That's going to bring 3,500 homes into the market. We're seeing other smaller ones around the city as well. And those are by and large are in areas that are going to be served by transit. So these are ones that are moving towards trying to get less congestion on our roads, less reliance on kind of the suburby type areas, but being able to travel by transit. Canada and Barrhaven are going to stay hot next year. I don't see any reason why that would change. Anecdotally, the main movers that we saw last year were families. They were people who had to move rather than wanted to move. They weren't just people who were trying to upgrade what they were living in. They were people who were looking for more space or being transferred in or out of Ottawa. And those tended to be the types of people we were moving with. And then, those are the predictions for 2024 for the city. So what does this mean for you if you are looking to make a move in 2024? So if that's the case, I've got to move back to my correct screen so my clicker will work here. If you are a home buyer, look for long-term value. So consider moving to a neighborhood that is kind of up and coming or developing that's going to hold long-term value for you, especially something that's served well by transit. These are going to hold their value extremely well in the years to come as the city gets bigger and bigger. If you're a home seller, marketing is important. It is every bit as important as it was in 2023, where it was crucial. Make sure you're preparing. Make sure you're getting your home move-in ready as possible. Consider if you're doing upgrades, things that are going to make it eco-friendly, or a smart home type of upgrades are great investments, because the buyers that are coming to you do not have a lot of extra money. They are not going to look at your home and have an extra $50,000 to $100,000 to flip it or to upgrade it. So make sure that it is ready for someone to move in. If you can tackle a project before you list it for sale, go ahead and do that. And if you want to know what projects should be tackled in your home, just reach out if you have a question. We love answering your questions, so go right ahead. And if you are a tenant, the rental market is tighter than it has ever been in Ottawa. So we are seeing sometimes on our listings 20, 30, 40 applicants on a single rental property. So if you would like to rent a property and you'd like to be the tenant who stands out and gets their offer accepted, be really professional, have your typed application nice and clear, have your realtor do and yes, you can rent with a realtor, have your realtor run a credit check for you so you can just offer it to a landlord instead of making them go run a credit check on you and having multiple pulls on your credit, and make sure that you're being completely transparent with any issues with your credit. So we've had tenants with my landlord clients take on some tenants who had bad credit, because they were very transparent about why that happened. It's the people who start off the bat trying to hide something about themselves, they got eliminated completely. I've seen good potential tenants who tried to hide a little red flag in their application, and we completely ignored them once we found that out. So there you go. I hope that that's helpful for you. This is the really short version. For the long, detailed version, go to my website at nickfundytus.ca/blog. If you would like our market update every month sent to you, you can just reach out to us. You can follow us on YouTube for our podcast and everything there. We are here in Ottawa to serve you and make sure you navigate the market successfully. Thank you very much, and we'll check back in 6 months and see how I did on those predictions.